MGTOW means men going their own way. And if you ever want to send feminists into outrage, all you need to do is mention those 5 words. The reaction is instant. The anger is visceral. But why? What is it about men deciding to step away that feels so threatening to feminism? The answer is straightforward. Feminism, in its modern form, isn't about equality anymore. It's about obedience. It wants men to keep funding the machine, to stay plugged into the system, and to quietly accept a cultural script that no longer serves them. MGTOW refuses. That refusal is treated not as a personal decision, but as an open rebellion. At its core, MGTOW does not hate women. It is not driven by resentment. It is built on observation. Divorce rates are sky high. Alimony and child support laws overwhelmingly punish men. False accusations can end a career in seconds. Modern dating has become a marketplace where men are expected to constantly prove their worth, while women are told they are the prize no matter what. MGTOW asks a very simple question. If the game is rigged, then why keep playing? And that question is devastating to feminism, because feminism has always assumed men would never stop playing. That men would keep working, keep marrying, keep providing, even as every legal and cultural incentive to do so was stripped away. The very moment a man says, "No thanks," the entire illusion begins to collapse. You see, feminism depends entirely on male participation. It's easy to shout about female empowerment when men are still the ones paving the roads, repairing the plumbing, defending the borders, and silently paying the taxes. As long as men stay inside the system, feminism can keep rewriting the rules to benefit itself. MGTOW disrupts that balance, and it does so without violence, without protests, without begging for change. MGTOW simply walks away. No shouting, no arguing, just leaving. And that is exactly what makes it so terrifying. Because movements can be discredited, leaders can be smeared, but how do you stop countless men from quietly opting out? That is why the media attacks. That is why feminists brand it as misogyny. They try to paint it as extremism. But really, what is extreme about refusing to sign a contract that gives someone else the power to ruin your life? What is hateful about choosing freedom instead of obligation? Modern feminism requires men to feel ashamed of their masculinity. It needs them to carry guilt simply for existing. It insists they are the problem, the oppressors, the obstacle to progress. But MGTOW men reject that narrative. They've stopped apologizing. They've stopped begging for approval. Instead, they have started to analyze. They examine the laws. They study the data. They see what happens to the average man in divorce court. They listen to testimonies from men who lost custody, lost their homes, lost their very identities, and they ask themselves, is this really worth it? Feminism has no answer. All it can do is resort to shame. It throws labels, incels, losers, misogynists. But here's the truth. If MGTOW truly was only made up of losers, feminists wouldn't care. They would laugh and dismiss it. But they don't. They can't. They are obsessed with it. And the reason is clear. Deep down, they know the truth. These men were never weak. They were valuable. They were providers, builders, problem solvers, and now they have stopped showing up. It's not that feminists want men gone. They want men compliant. They want them working, paying the bills, raising the kids, tolerating the insults, and silently accepting the ever-changing rules. But MGTOW men are walking away from relationships, from marriage, from cohabitation, and in many cases, from society's expectations altogether. That is what makes feminists panic. Because if men stop participating, the entire structure begins to crumble. Look at schools. Boys are falling behind. Look at universities. Men are now the minority. Look at workplaces. The diversity agenda punishes merit if it happens to come in the form of a straight white male. MGTOW sees all of this and asks, why should I sign up for a system that treats me as the villain just for being male? And that question shakes people because MGTOW is not reactive. It is proactive. It doesn't want to fix the system. It has given up on the system. It builds its own path, its own rules, its own life. Feminism prepared to fight anger. It prepared to fight resistance. But it was never prepared to fight indifference. And indifference cuts the deepest. When a man no longer cares to argue, when he no longer feels the need to prove himself, when he simply walks away, with his time, his effort, and his resources, that is a threat no hashtag campaign can silence. The feminist tactic has always been ridicule, labels, gaslighting. They say MGTOW men are just bitter, that they cannot attract women, that they are failures with no options. But look closer. Many of these men are successful. Many are intelligent. Many are self-sufficient. They are not anti-woman. They are anti-nonsense. They have looked behind the curtain. They have seen how men are shamed the moment they ask questions. They have seen how modern relationships demand lifelong commitment while offering no guarantees. They have seen how masculinity is branded as toxic unless it serves female interests. And they have chosen to walk. And walking away, that is the most radical act a man can commit today. Not fighting, not protesting, but disengaging. Feminism thrives only as long as men keep investing. But MGTOW represents male divestment. No alimony, no child support, no emotional labor, no blind loyalty to a narrative. Just men living on their own terms, unapologetically and without shame. That is why feminists hate it. Because MGTOW shatters the contract. It flips the narrative. It refuses to beg for attention. It refuses to compete for validation. It refuses to sacrifice for a system that offers nothing in return. Feminists speak endlessly about choice, about empowerment, about independence. But the moment men begin to claim empowerment and independence for themselves, suddenly it becomes a problem. Men are not supposed to walk away. They are supposed to keep building the house even after being thrown out of it. They are supposed to keep loving women even as they are openly mocked. They are supposed to keep dating, marrying, providing, even when the risks outweigh the rewards. MGTOW says no, and within that no is liberation. That freedom terrifies feminism because it means men are waking up. They are unplugging. They are questioning everything they were taught about love, loyalty, and their place in society. And once a man has woken up, he cannot be put back to sleep. You cannot convince him to re-enter a system that chews him up and spits him out. You cannot shame him into sacrifice. You cannot guilt him into servitude. The chains no longer hold once he realizes he had the key the entire time. And that is the harsh truth. MGTOW is not about hatred. It is about clarity. It does not seek to punish women. It seeks to protect men. It does not aim to destroy society. It aims to survive it. And that is the reason feminists hate MGTOW. Not because it is false, but because it is true. Because it sees through the illusion. Because it refuses to participate in a game that was fixed from the start. Because it grants men the one thing feminism never expected them to claim for themselves: their freedom.